Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Renner questions Caleb Johnson pick, wonders how long Arthur Smith will be OC. After losing Najee Harris this offseason, the Pittsburgh Steelers went into the draft knowing they'd have to take a running back at some point. The Steelers found theirs in the third round, with the 83rd overall pick. There, they selected Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. Johnson makes a lot of sense, given the scheme fit with Arthur Smith, and the spot where Pittsburgh took him. However, CBS Sports' Mike Renner isn't quite as convinced about the selection. Specifically, he points to what he believes to be uncertainty around Smith's future as the Steelers' offensive coordinator. The Caleb Johnson pick though, I do question a little bit, Renner said on CBS Sports HQ, "You're drafting a guy who's a scheme fit for Arthur Smith's offense. And yeah, that's who your OC, offensive coordinator, is now. Given the track record of Steelers OCs, how long is he going to be your OC? Is he going to last the entire contract of Caleb Johnson? You could have waited, and I thought there were still a lot of good players on the board." So far, the Johnson selection is getting mostly positive reviews. He's coming off an outstanding 2024 season, one that saw him lead the Big Ten with 1,537 rushing yards. We know Johnson is a productive back, but the scheme fit here is too obvious to ignore. That's something that Renner acknowledges himself, despite his doubts about the pick. Johnson had a ton of success in Iowa's zone scheme, and it's a similar wide zone concept that he'll be in with the Steelers. However, Renner's real concern here is in regard to Arthur Smith's future in Pittsburgh. It's worth noting that Smith is on a 3-year deal, so he's with the team through 2026. Smith didn't have the easiest job in 2024. QB1 Russell Wilson went down shortly before the regular season began with a calf injury. Smith adjusted with Justin Fields and won 4 games. He then adjusted again once Wilson came back and won 6 of the first 7 games with Wilson behind center. The Steelers during the end of the year, but that was a roster-wide meltdown. All things considered, Smith has done a solid job. Right now, there isn't any worry that he'd be let go. However, he could take a job somewhere else. This offseason, he was viewed as a head coach candidate for both the Jets and University of North Carolina. If Smith puts together an excellent 2025 season, a situation where he takes a head coaching job could become more realistic. All things considered, wondering about Smith's future shouldn't take away from selecting Johnson. It is nice that Caleb Johnson's such an easy fit in Smith's offense. But if Smith were to leave, it's not like that's the only thing that makes Johnson a good player. How Aaron Rodgers influenced the Steelers' draft strategy. The most influential person of the Pittsburgh Steelers' 2025 NFL draft wasn't sitting in the team war room. He wasn't even on the other end of any of the 7 phone calls made by Mike Tomlin to his draftees over the 3-day event. Aaron Rodgers isn't a member of the Steelers, but the team assembled their 2025 draft class as if he soon would be. "We're still kind of getting the same signals that we've been getting recently," team owner and president Art Rooney II told Steelers Nation Radio, the team's flagship program, on Friday night. "He does want to come here, so I do think we may get word soon." Despite the Steelers' repeated insistence that Rodgers would not influence their draft strategy, their actions in the 2025 speak louder than the words uttered by team brass. Passing on a quarterback 4 times before finally selecting 24-year-old developmental prospect Will Howard out of Ohio State in the 6th round, suggests Rodgers was very much present in their decision-making process. "We did not factor in whether Aaron is coming or not into that," Rooney said of the team's draft to that point. "If we do draft a quarterback and we still might, it's probably not going to be somebody who is going to start for us this year. It's going to be somebody who is developing and may play down the road. As far as I'm concerned, it's not somebody who is going to have a big impact this year if we draft a quarterback." At the time of Rooney's interview, the team was still 20 hours away from selecting Howard, but the owner's word still appeared true with the pick. Though Howard has a national championship pedigree and 4 years of FBS football on his resume, he doesn't project as a day-one starter. Despite completing an impressive 73% of his pass attempts at Ohio State, Howard still needs work to correct the inconsistent throwing mechanics on display in his combined performance and improve his processing speed to adapt to NFL defenses. The Steelers had plenty of opportunities to draft higher-rated prospects, yet each time, they elected to address areas they viewed as more pressing. That suggests that either the Steelers are incredibly confident Rodgers will sign in Pittsburgh or they strongly believe far more than those outside the organization that Mason Rudolph is a capable Week 1 starter. Or perhaps the Steelers are working on a third option, acquiring a quarterback via trade. Atlanta's Kirk Cousins is the priciest of those options, but the team could also wait to see which signal callers shake loose from crowded rooms in Cleveland and New York. That's certainly a possibility, Tomlin told NFL Network's Rich Eisen on Saturday afternoon of Rodgers joining the team. I'm not going to forecast the ifs and whens regarding not only him but any other potential free agent. We've had really productive talks with him, and I've enjoyed having productive talks with him and getting to know him. In the first round, of course, the Steelers selected Oregon defensive tackle Derek Harmon while every quarterback remained on the board other than number 1 overall pick Cam Ward. We were on the clock, General Manager Omar Khan said, asked if he was tempted by a quarterback with the pick. We got the player that we wanted. By the time the Steelers were back on the clock with the number 83 overall selection on Friday night, only 3 quarterbacks were unavailable: Ward, Jackson Dart, and Tyler Shaw. Once again, the team spurned the position and filled another hole, this time with Iowa running back Caleb Johnson. 9 picks later, the Seattle Seahawks took Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe, whom the Steelers met and dined with at his pro day. Still without a quarterback as the draft rolled into day 3, the Steelers bypassed signal callers with their next 2 picks in the 4th and 5th rounds despite Colorado's Shedeur Sanders, whom the team hosted on a top 30 visit, still being available. The Steelers even used their 4th-round pick on Ohio State edge rusher Jack Sawyer, adding a player to an already flush position rather than Sanders, whom Tomlin praised for his competitive spirit and toughness less than a week earlier. Steelers legend rips Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph in unprofessional rant. Ryan Clark is allowed to wear a lot of hats. He is a celebrated former member of the Pittsburgh Steelers, a legend to some. He is respected ESPN personality with a loud but smart megaphone. And he gets to be a fan, too. This weekend in the NFL Draft, his Steelers were handed the opportunity to take a quarterback with their first-round pick on Thursday. They turned it down in favor of Oregon defensive tackle Derek Harmon. Clark didn't like the pick, and his reaction to the Steelers' first-round move went viral. And not in a good way. Clark was visibly upset, largely due to the looming vacancy under center. Pittsburgh remains suspended between the rest of the draft, Aaron Rodgers, and Mason Rudolph, a less-than-ideal proposition for leaving quarterback purgatory. Mason Rudolph? Mason Rudolph, Clark said. He went to Tennessee and got worse. You know what we're gonna do? Oh, let's wait for Aaron. Wait for Aaron to make a decision. We let Aaron Rodgers hold us hostage like we're a 4. We the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're supposed to be acting like a 10. We're acting like a 4. We don't understand Clark's rating system. But we get that he's not a fan of Rudolph and that he's not a fan of being held hostage by Rodgers, who is thinking of signing with the Steelers. Maybe. The Steelers eventually drafted Ohio State QB Will Howard in round 6, after the Browns took Shedeur Sanders in round 5. Clark later cooled down. But one source close to the situation tells us that was unprofessional. Did Clark know he was being filmed? Who does he think he's representing here? Clark later gave Pittsburgh a B grade, he said, because they did the right thing. Oh. But if they did the right thing, what were all of those theatrics about? And you fan? What do you think about Ryan Clark's situation? Write to us in the comments.